Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Sarah from Handmade After Dark, and this is a recording, not live. Normally, I would be doing my online class to go live, but if you were online last night, you would have seen the technical difficulty after technical difficulty that I had. So I am recording a version which I will upload to YouTube, and I'll post a link in Facebook as well so that you all have access to that. I do hope you can't hear all the background echoing that I can at the moment. I'm hoping you can't. I do have some new tech goodies on the way. One has arrived, one should arrive tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be back up and running live without all the issues very soon. My previous settings used to work fine, now they don't. But hopefully I'll be live again very soon. So for tonight's class, I am using the Sunrise Sailing bundle, which is one of the new online exclusives. So it's not in the annual catalog. You need to go online to the online store and check it out there. It's only available online. So I'll just switch my camera view around. Get myself reorganized. I was nice and organized last night. Not quite so much tonight because I had to recut everything, but that's all right. All right. So this is the Sunrise Sailing Bundle. And well, most of it, my dies were right in front of me. Now there they are, disappeared. So this set is, you have the stamp set, and then you have a hybrid embossing folder. So this is a 3D embossing folder. And then you have the dies. So you've got some water ones, and then you've got some clouds and large and small boats, birds, sails. And this large boat die cut cuts out the boat on here. So you can either just emboss, you can emboss and die cut that at the same time, or you can do them separately. So for all of my cards tonight, two of them I'm using the embossing folder, one of them I'm not. All three use the die cuts, but I'm die cutting everything separately. So I'll remove these out of the way. Now, if you saw my catalog launch video, or one of the ones where I did the Sunrise Sailing Bundle, you would have had a sneak peek at the three cards that we are doing tonight. So these are the three cards. Now, the one that I demonstrated during that launch video, if you do purchase the online class to go, so if you place an order of $75 or more before shipping and excluding any Stamp and Rewards redemptions, I will send you the kits, the class kits, to make two each of these three cards. And you will also receive a PDF tutorial bundle of these three cards plus the one that I did during that launch video. So this week's tutorial bundle has an extra one, and it is that one from that video. And of course, you can go back and watch the video if you need any reminders on how to make that one. That one is up on YouTube as well. So we will start with this one. So this one uses a couple of the new in colors. So we have Cloud Cover and Secret Sea. So we've got Cloud Cover base. And so in your kit, if you order the kit, you will get some basic white to stamp and die cut the boat. So you'll need the boat die cut. For that one, you will get the Stylish Shapes die cut. It won't be stamped. We cannot send stamped images. I've just pre-prepared a few things, but you will get the die cut for that one. And you will also get basic white cardstock for the insert. the 2 pieces of the Secret Sea cardstock that you need for the front cloud cover, and you will get the DSP for this one as well. Now, easiest way to cut the DSP so that you get an even angle on both pieces is to just make sure I've just got the one of each, is if you just stack them together, because it's DSP, it's fairly thin, or it's thin enough that you can cut 2 pieces together, make sure they are even, and then just decide where you want the angle. So just decide how much gap top and bottom you want. Make sure they are still together. Hold it down firmly. And then you will have your pieces for each. And so you can, basically you can use the others to make another card. So I will put those to the side, and we will put these together. I always like to line things up before I stick them down to make sure that I have measured and cut everything correctly. That looks good. And I'm going to use the green glue for this one, because I do want that little bit of real room just in case I need to move it around. So we'll stick this one down. So you just want to leave a little bit of a border all the way around. And I like to just double check before I stick it down to make sure that I'm still in the right spot. Then we'll grab the other piece. So fingers crossed this video actually works. I'm hoping that, as it's a pre-recorded one, some of the issues that I had last night are not such an issue with recorded ones rather than the live. So hopefully this does work. Hopefully you can see my desk right now. But if you can't, you won't ever know, because you won't see this video, because I will re-record. Really hope I don't have to do that, but if I need to, I will. Alrighty, so that's that. Just get some of that extra adhesive off. Okay, now I'm going to actually, no, let's do the embossing now before we forget. So you will need your stamp cards. And for this one, because this is a hybrid embossing folder, you want plate number 1 and then plate number 4. So just make sure when you put this one through that you just work out where the boat is going to sit. So you want the boat roughly centered in your piece, and make sure obviously the boat fits and you've got enough, however much of the water that you want. So I'm happy with that. That's roughly halfway. There's enough water. There's a bit of space at the top, and just remember you want the folded edge going in first. to your machine so you don't break the plate. So we just check that that's looking all right. Yep, that looks good. Let's just get everything out of the way. All right, now, before we stick this down, I'm just going to sponge a little bit of Lost Lagoon ink onto the embossed area. So we don't need a lot, just a little bit to add just a little bit of extra color and depth. Last night when I was doing the live video, I completely forgot about this step until the entire thing was pretty much put together. And then I had to do it on the almost finished card, which I normally wouldn't recommend, but thankfully it still worked and I didn't completely mess it up. But I would still recommend you do it before you stick everything down, not after. There we go, that'll do. All right, now we can stick that down onto, not that piece, this one. Yep, that's the right one. And because this is an embossed piece, I'm going to use the green glue again, just because green glue tends to adhere a bit better, or help the cardstock adhere a bit better on the other cardstock, because it's a little easier for it to get into all the nooks and crannies, and it just sticks much better, in my opinion at least. And of course you do get that extra bit of time to make sure everything is lined up where you want it. Now, the other thing I need to do, and I should have done it before I stuck that down, but it doesn't matter too much, is just to stamp a few birds on here. Put that. All right, let's start getting the rest of these together. So we can stick this down. Actually, that's right. It may just be me, but I discovered last night that Seal and Secret Seed don't seem to mix all that well. It may well just be me, but it did occasionally start to tear. So I'm going to stick with green glue for this one, just in case. And then we will stick that in the center there. Okay. Alrighty, now there it is. So I did pre-stamp these, although I just realized I stamped that on the back. So maybe let's redo that one in a bit of a rush to get things done. And I've done it on the one side. So it's all right. We'll do it again. So using the Secret Sea for the sentiment, and for the boat, I stamped the outline in Secret Sea as well, and then the sails and the bottom are stamped off Lost Lagoon, just so it's not quite so dark. So that's, for this one, it's 3 separate stamps. So you've got the outline, the sails, and the hub. So you've got 3 separate ones for this. Now, because the boat on here is embossed, I'm just going to stick that straight down rather than sticking it up on dimensionals, just so that it isn't too high, because particularly if you're posting it, you don't want it to be too thick. But if you're not posting it and it doesn't bother you, then go for it. I'm just going to line that up with the embossed piece. There we go. The sentiment I am going to put up on dimensionals. Let's make sure I put them on the right side, because now they've both got stamping on them. Harder to see which is the correct side. And, you know, maybe try and do it the right way up. All right, there we go. And then all that is left for this one is to add some embellishments. So I'm using the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. So I'm going to use just some of the cloud cover ones. And then we will add the insert to the inside. May well run out of seal soon. Good thing I have more. Alrighty, there we go. Card number 1. That one is done. And now we will move on to card number 2, which is this one. So this one has a basic white base. And then, so in your kits, if you're getting the kits, you'll get white cardstock, the basic white cardstock to stamp and die cut the boats, cardstock to die cut the clouds, a strip to stamp the sentiment on. For this one, I've used the sentiment from the Beautiful Butterflies stamp set, but you can obviously use whatever you would like. There is a backing piece for sentiment, 2 die cut pieces in Secrecy and Basic White, small in color pieces, and then now that's right. So for the insert, we are going to do Secrecy and Basic White because it's a Basic White card. So for the insert, you want to add a little bit extra. So you have 2 Secrecy pieces. They are very close in size. So make sure you double check before you start which one is which so that you use the correct one for the correct spot. So the larger one is for the inside. So that goes with your Basic White insert piece. And just so I don't mess it up, I'm actually going to stick that down now because I can see myself saying, don't mess it up. Make sure you use the right one. And then doing exactly that. So to reduce that risk, I'm going to make it a little bit more obvious to me which one is which. Not too much adhesive around the edges, but that's all right. So I will put that to the side and we will adhere that later. Now, for the front, smaller piece. And then those and those. So those will stick down later. And I'll stick the sentiment strip. That's a piece. I'm just going to double check that I've actually got. Yes. Just want to make sure I've actually got the right measurements for my backing piece. All right. Now I will use blue for this one. Really hoping you can't hear the train that's going past right now because it's very loud and long. All righty. Now, all we need to do with these pieces is line them up and stick them down. So I always like to check before I stick pretty much anything down to make sure I've got the right measurements and also that things are the right way around, because sometimes, like particularly with this one, there's not much difference in the measurements and you want to make sure you've got it the right way. So that looks pretty good. And I will use the green glue for this one so that I get that little bit of extra time to adjust the placement if I need to. So just try and keep the border even and try and line up the edges. Don't start pressing down too hard until you're happy with where it's sitting. It just makes it easier to move if you haven't pressed it down too hard. Last one. Yep. Well, it's a good thing that's on the silicone sheet and not on something I don't want it on. Comes off nice and easily on the silicone sheet. And I'm just going to wipe that bit off that corner. All right, so now that that is down, we can stick these two together. And just make sure I've got it around the right way. And we'll stick that to the front. There. So just roughly in the middle. And then, so that this time I will stick this one up on dimensionals. And I do need to stamp some of the birds as well, but I'm actually not going to do that until after I've stuck both the boat and the clouds down, just so that I know exactly where I want to stamp. Because I don't want to stamp and then find that it's all covered by the stuff that you're sticking down. So this is one of the few times where I will intentionally stamp much later than I would usually prefer, but it's shouldn't be too much of an issue with this one. Once I get all the dimensionals off, well, the backings. Don't want to take the dimensionals off, just the backing. All right, so we're just going to put this down to the bottom of the basic white piece, and then we'll grab the clouds. So yes, this is, I have punched these from scrap cardstock because no one's going to see this side. Actually, I don't need so many on that side just because that's going to sit under, partly under the boat, so I don't need them all the way. one, but just move it over slightly. All right, so this one is going to sit just under there. And if the backings were to come off, there we go. And let's do this one a little bit further down. So you do need to be careful when you are putting the dimensionals on the boat that you consider where you want the clouds to sit and where they're going to sit under, because if you've got a dimensional sort of right where you want the cloud to go, it won't sit under because it'll be blocked. And I'm going to rearrange this one slightly. It's not quite where I want it. Oh, that one's okay. No, maybe I won't. It's going back. That's fine. It can stay there. I'll just put extra birds up here instead. There's always a way around it. Nope, that one's on a dimensional backing. There we go. And this probably won't work, but there we go. That could have ended very badly, but it didn't. I'm happy. All right. And we'll just add the sentiment to the bottom, add some embellishments. Line that one across ever so slightly. There we go. All right, embellishments. And I'm using the same ones as before, the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. I'm going with a couple of the Secret Sea ones. Oh, and I have sentiments falling off. That's all right. Oh, you need to put the insert on. Almost forgot about that. Get the dimensional backings out of the way. Just straighten that up. These extra dimension backings out of the way. And there we go, card number 2. All right, one more. Which is this one. So this one uses Azure Afternoon as the base. And when I find my kit. So if you're getting the kits, you will have, again, as with the others, basic white cardstock so you can stamp and die cut. You'll get a punched piece of basic white so you can stamp sentiment of your choice. I've used the same as the previous one, previous card, the happy birthday from the beautiful butterflies, some basic black cardstock, some basic white for the inside, and then you get a couple of pieces of DSP, and so you'll need to run these through the embossing folder. Now, with this one, so the measurements of the DSP are deliberately intended so that there is a little bit of overlap. And so then when you stick it down on your basic black piece, you've got a little bit of overlap so you can stick them together, and you'll get roughly about 9.5 centimeters in height, roughly. In terms of running through the embossing folder, you can either adhere them together before you start and then run it through, or do each piece separately. If you are doing them separately, which is what I have done for these, I would recommend you do the first one. Let me get the embossing folder out. So you would run the first one through. Let me try and line this up as best I can. So you run the first one through before you take that one out. Work out, and don't forget to take into account the overlap. Work out where that second piece needs to sit so that it's even on either side, and even so that it will basically sit, exactly where you want it to. And then take that piece out, make sure it doesn't move when you run it through. So that's how I did it for those, but you can adhere the two pieces together, just at that little point where it's going to overlap, and then just run through once. So it's up to you. And then if you are doing one at a time, when you come to adhere them down, just make sure you do it in the correct order. So the way I've cut the cardstock, the top piece will sit over the bottom one. So make sure you stick the bottom piece down first and not the other way around. So let's do that bit now before I forget and do the opposite. And then I need to make sure I remember, I'm going to bring it out now, to stick or to tie the twine around before we stick this to the card base. And I just realized I probably should have used, I definitely should have used the green glue just so I get that extra bit of time and wiggle room. And I think I will do that for the top piece because that was not a good idea to use that one. It will stick fine. There's no issue with that. It will stick. The green glue is just tends to be a bit better. And because you want to get this lined up properly, it is much, much easier to use this one if you can. If you don't have any green glue, you should definitely get some, but use whatever you've got. So we just want to line this up. go. Done. And actually, one thing that I will do is clean my stamp. We will stamp the birds. Now, so these ones I did in basic grey. Add the twine. Twine is not my friend, but we will do it anyway. I will need some glue dots and tear and tape for this one. So we're going to wrap it around twice and tie a bow. Now I need to remember to make sure, don't need quite that much, but I do need a reasonable amount to be able to tie a bow because it's not my strength. Let's just bring this back. So what I'm going to do once I've worked out roughly how much I need and where I want it to sit, keep it reasonably even. I'm just going to flip it over and add a bit of tear and tape to hold it down. And then I'll also add on the other side, I'm going to add glue dots to sit basically where underneath where the sentiment is going to sit. So they're going to be hidden anyway. I'll add a second one just for good measure. Where'd it go? There it is. Nope. Not cooperating tonight, is it? There we go. Found it. Now that should help keep it a bit more secure. And now to try and tie a bow with twine, which I don't think it would matter how long it was. I'm not going to be able to do very well. All right, I'm just going to shorten that. Actually, no, I'm going to start again just because it's sitting a bit too little bit too far, actually. I'm going to add an extra blue dot before I start to tie that down, which will just stop it moving quite so much. And it will be largely hidden by the boat anyway, so so I just need to make sure that that's, and I've gone too far. Okay, let's keep trying. Let's move it down ever so slightly. We'll get there one day. This time next week, I'll still be trying to tie a boat. Wouldn't be the first time I repeatedly insisted on retying and retying until it was just right. All right, that is good enough. Otherwise, we'll be here until next week, and nobody wants that. All right, let's stick this down, get some space, because there's not much more to do for this one. We are nearly done. So, where's my... Almost out. I'm going to just add another glue dot, just another one. Just to keep that final bow from untying. And also force it into a mostly correct position so it's not completely upside down. All right. Now I'm going to go with just adhesive for the boat because it's going to be sitting on embossed area. So don't want too much extra height. One up. There we go, good to go. Add some dimensionals to the sentiment. Just make sure, yep, that's going to sit behind. Actually, that's right. I do want, just remembered from last night, I remembered that we actually want the dimensionals sitting as much as possible more to the edge than in the middle for this one, just so that as much as possible is on the cardstock and not directly on the twine. Having some on the twine is fine, but you want to make sure there's enough contact with the paper. I'll just slide it in under the bow slightly, just so I don't accidentally stick it down. All right, now we just need, I'm using different embellishments for this one, using the rainbow adhesive backed dots. And we just need a couple of these. And we do need to put the insert in. That over. Let's see if this one will last for one last piece for the night. Fingers crossed. Get a little bit of that extra adhesive off. Don't need the extra twine. All righty, and that is the third and final. So I'll just bring these all back in. So these are the 3 cards from this week's online class to go. So you have until Saturday, end of Saturday, to place your orders. And I'll just switch my camera back. There we go. All right, thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully be live next week. I will be back next week. Hopefully it will be live rather than needing to do pre-recorded, but either way, the video will be there. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.